All right, let's plunge into some seriously fascinating stuff today.
Yeah, sounds good.
We're talking about Gnosticism and the law of one.
Okay.
You know those ancient mysteries, that cosmic wisdom?
Right.
And, you reached out specifically wanting to explore how these two philosophies, well, intertwine, I guess.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm right there with you.
Oh.
I'm really curious to see where this deep dive takes us.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because
Yeah.
what I find so captivating about this is that Gnosticism and the law of one,
Mm.
while they may seem worlds apart,
Yeah.
they actually share some really striking similarities.
Yeah.
They both really emphasize the importance of divine knowledge as a path to liberation, but they go about it in fascinatingly different ways.
Okay, so to start unpacking this,
Yeah.
maybe we can start with just defining our terms.
Right.
So Gnosticism,
Yeah.
it's all about gnosis,
Mm-hmm.
which just translates to knowledge.
Yes.
But we're not talking about, like textbook facts here, are we?
No, not at all.
Right.
It's a much deeper, more intuitive knowing.
Huh.
It's a direct experience of the divine
Right.
that the Gnostics believe leads to spiritual liberation.
Okay.
Think of it as almost like a flash of insight
Right.
that kind of shatters illusions and reveals the true nature of reality.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does the law of one fit into all of this?
Right. So the law of one
This channeled wisdom from a being named Ra.
exactly emphasizes this principle of all is one.
Okay.
This idea that everything in the universe is interconnected.
Right.
It's all woven together
Mm-hmm.
in this cosmic tapestry, so to speak.
I see.
And by understanding this unity, we can evolve spiritually
Okay,
and move closer to the Creator.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So now I think it's interesting
Yeah.
because the serpent in the Garden of Eden,
Right.
often seen as like a symbol of temptation,
Yeah.
takes on a whole new meaning in Gnosticism,
It really does.
doesn't it?
Absolutely. In the Gnostic interpretations, the serpent actually represents gnosis itself,
Whoa.
encouraging humanity to question blind obedience.
Really?
Yeah, and seek knowledge, even if it challenges accepted norms.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
It depends on how you look at it.
Okay, so both Gnosticism and the law of one,
Yeah.
they're encouraging us to kind of go beyond the surface, to seek knowledge beyond just the material realm.
Right.
It's like they're both saying, hey, there's a deeper truth out there.
Exactly.
And it's up to you to find it.
Yeah, and this search for knowledge,
Yeah.
it isn't about just accumulating information.
Right.
It's about cultivating an inner knowing,
Okay.
an intuitive understanding of our place in the universe.
Okay, I see. So we got this emphasis on divine knowledge as a path to liberation.
Mm-hmm.
But both philosophies,
Yeah.
they also seem to be really big on this concept of unity.
Yeah, they both really challenge the illusion of separateness.
Okay.
So the Gnostics, they believe in this realm of pure spiritual light
Okay.
called the pleroma.
Pleroma.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is, the ultimate source of unity.
Right.
Well, the law of one,
Right.
with its core principle of all is one,
Yeah.
echoes this idea of interconnectedness.
So it's like we're not just these isolated individuals,
Exactly.
but rather like threads in this grand cosmic tapestry.
Yeah.
And we're interconnected with every other being.
Hmm.
And by understanding this interconnectedness, maybe that can lead to greater compassion and understanding in how we interact with others.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And this brings us to another shared theme,
Yeah.
which is spiritual evolution.
Okay.
Both Gnosticism and the law of one
Mm-hmm.
view life as this journey of growth,
Right.
a quest to refine our understanding of ourselves and the cosmos.
So the Gnostics,
Yeah.
they believed in a divine spark within each individual.
Yeah.
This fragment of the divine that's like seeking liberation from the material world.
Exactly.
And then the law of one, it talks about reincarnation, this cycle of death and rebirth
Yes.
as a way of kind of refining our consciousness
All right.
and evolving toward higher densities of being.
It's fascinating how these concepts,
Yeah.
although they're expressed differently, they really point towards the same idea that we're not these static beings,
Right.
but we're these dynamic expressions of consciousness
Right.
that are constantly unfolding and evolving.
All right. So we've touched on some shared themes.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious
Yeah.
about the historical context of these philosophies. Like,
Right.
where did Gnosticism come from?
Well, Gnosticism emerged in the first few centuries AD,
Okay.
around the same time as early Christianity.
So pretty far back.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Okay.
But unlike,
All right.
the more structured doctrines of early Christianity,
Okay.
Gnosticism was actually this kind of diverse collection of schools and teachers.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
each offering their own unique perspectives on spiritual liberation.
So it wasn't like a monolithic religion
No.
with
Oh.
like a strict set of rules.
Think of it more like,
Okay.
a vibrant tapestry of ideas
Yeah.
with figures like Valentinus
Okay.
weaving in these complex cosmologies
Right.
and really nuanced interpretations of spiritual evolution.
Very diverse.
Very diverse.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, Gnosticism did face suppression.
Really?
Yeah, by those who sought to establish a more orthodox interpretation of Christian doctrine.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we had the discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945,
Yeah.
which offered this treasure trove of Gnostic texts,
Exactly.
right? Providing us with like valuable insights into this often misunderstood spiritual tradition.
Yes. It's amazing
Yeah.
how these ancient texts continue to shed light on Gnostic beliefs and practices.
Right.
And then fast forward to the 1980s, we
Right.
have the channeling of the Law of One, which connects these ancient wisdom traditions
Right.
to a modern audience that's seeking alternative spiritual paths.
It's really interesting
It is.
because we have Gnosticism emerging alongside early Christianity
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually being suppressed.
Yeah.
And then the Law of One emerges much later,
Right.
tapping into this kind of resurgence
Yeah.
of interest in esoteric wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And they both kind of converge
Yeah.
on such profound ideas.
It really is fascinating.
Yeah, it truly is.
And it kind of raises a compelling question for us, I think.
What's that?
How can these ancient teachings inform our understanding of the world? And how can they guide our personal choices today?
Now that's where it gets really interesting.
It does.
Let's explore that further, shall we?
Absolutely. When we really dig into these philosophies, we find that they challenge our traditional views
Okay.
on good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
The Gnostics, for example,
Yeah.
they saw the material world as flawed,
Okay.
ruled by a lesser deity
All right.
known as the demiurge.
The demiurge. So
Yeah.
not exactly the all-powerful, all-knowing God
No.
that we often hear about.
All right, the Gnostics,
Huh.
they didn't see the demiurge as inherently evil,
Okay.
but rather as a being that was limited in
Well,
its understanding,
Okay.
responsible for the imperfections and the suffering
Right.
we experience in the material realm.
So it's like the
Yeah.
demiurge is kind of working with this limited set of tools
Exactly.
and creating a world that's, well, a bit rough around the edges.
Yeah, you could say that.
So does this mean that the Gnostics believe we're kind of trapped
No,
in this hopeless situation?
not at all.
Okay.
They believed that through gnosis,
Right.
through direct experience of divine knowledge, we could transcend these limitations of the material world
Mm-hmm.
and reunite with the true source of all being.
So it's about awakening to our true nature.
Exactly.
On kind of breaking free from these constraints of this flawed creation.
Precisely. And,
Yeah.
this idea of a flawed creation
Right.
ruled by a lesser deity,
Mm-hmm.
that's a theme we see echoed in other ancient wisdom traditions as well.
Really?
Yeah, it prompts us to think about the different levels of
Okay.
spiritual awareness
Yeah.
and, the complexities of existence.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the similarities,
Yeah,
but are there any key differences
sure.
between Gnosticism and the Law of One
Why?
that we should consider?
But while both philosophies share these core principles, the Law of One
Yeah.
really emphasizes this concept of polarity,
Okay.
the choice between service to others
There it
and
is.
service to self.
Okay, so it's not about labeling one as good and the other as bad,
Right.
but rather understanding this interplay between these two forces.
It suggests that both polarities are necessary
Okay,
for the evolution of consciousness.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So the Law of One suggests it's all about finding balance,
Yeah.
recognizing that we have free will
Yeah.
to choose our path,
Absolutely.
and each choice
Right.
kind of influences our spiritual journey.
That makes me think of,
Yeah.
the yin and yang in Eastern philosophy.
Right.
The idea that seemingly opposing forces
Yeah.
are actually complementary
Right.
and essential for wholeness.
Yeah, that's a great connection.
Yeah.
So it's not about kind of striving for
Right.
some impossible perfection,
Yeah.
but rather like integrating all these aspects of ourselves
Yeah.
into a more kind of holistic understanding.
It's that process of integration
Yeah.
that really fuels our spiritual growth and evolution.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground conceptually.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about the practical applications
Okay.
of these philosophies. Like,
Right.
how can we actually apply these teachings
Right.
to our everyday lives?
Well, one key takeaway
Yeah.
from both Gnosticism and the Law of One
Okay.
is the importance of cultivating awareness.
Okay.
The Gnostics, they talked about
Mhm.
awakening from the sleep of ignorance,
Okay.
seeing the world with fresh eyes,
Okay.
and recognizing the illusions that kind of bind us to suffering.
So it's about paying attention, being
Yeah.
present,
Yes.
and kind of questioning
Yeah,
the assumptions that we make about reality
absolutely.
without even realizing it.
This cultivation of awareness,
Yeah.
can extend to every aspect of our lives, our
Mhm.
thoughts, our emotions, our actions.
It's about making conscious choices instead of just
Yes.
reacting out of habit or conditioning.
Exactly.
I think for me, one
Yeah.
of the biggest challenges is remembering
Yeah,
to actually be present.
right.
Life moves so fast. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of it all.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's a continual practice.
Right.
A gentle reminder to ourselves to pause,
Yeah.
breathe,
Hmm.
observe.
And as we develop this awareness,
Yeah.
we start to see the interconnectedness
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah.
How our choices have this ripple effect
Exactly.
on the world around us.
That makes me think of another concept that
Yeah.
we've talked about, which is compassion.
Right.
Both Gnosticism and the Law of One.
Yeah.
They emphasize the interconnectedness of all beings
Right.
and encourage us to treat each other with kindness,
Hmm.
understanding, and forgiveness.
It's such a powerful force.
It is.
Compassion.
It allows us to move beyond
Yeah.
judgment and separation
Right.
and to connect with the shared humanity that binds us all.
It's easy to forget
Yeah.
that we're all on our own kind of unique journeys,
Mm-hmm.
facing our own challenges.
It is.
And compassion really helps us to see beyond the surface and recognize the struggles
Right.
that other people might be going through.
And that compassion extends to ourselves as well.
Right, right.
Recognizing that we're all imperfect beings.
Yeah.
We're learning, we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
That helps us to cultivate a more gentle
Yeah.
and understanding inner dialogue.
That self-compassion can be so challenging, can't it? Like, we often hold ourselves
Yeah.
to such high
What
standards.
to do?
But when we can learn to be more forgiving of ourselves,
Yeah.
then it becomes easier
Yeah.
to extend that same forgiveness to others.
It's like we're each holding a light.
Mm-hmm.
And when we shine that light inward,
Yeah,
it naturally radiates outward,
I love that.
illuminating the world around us.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
It reminds me of kind of the interconnectedness we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
how our inner world
Right.
affects the outer world and vice versa.
Exactly.
One thing that really strikes me is that both Gnosticism and the Law of One
Yeah.
emphasize personal experience.
They do.
It's not about
Right.
blindly accepting dogma
Right.
or someone else's interpretation of truth.
It's about encouraging us to become active seekers, to explore, to question,
Yeah.
and to trust our inner guidance.
It's like we're each given a map,
Yeah.
but ultimately we have to chart our own course,
Yes.
trusting our intuition,
Mm.
making choices that feel right for us.
And that journey of self-discovery, it's
Yeah.
ongoing. There's
Yeah.
always more to learn,
Yeah.
explore, experience.
That's what keeps life interesting and meaningful,
It is.
wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
absolutely.
Speaking of the journey,
Yeah.
both Gnosticism and the Law of One
Mm-hmm.
suggest that we're undergoing this process of spiritual evolution,
Right.
both individually and collectively.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what does that evolution actually look like
Well,
in practice?
one sign of spiritual evolution is an increasing sense of interconnectedness.
Oh, yeah?
As we awaken to our true nature,
Yeah.
we begin to see the world differently.
Oh.
We recognize the interconnectedness of all things
Mm.
and feel a deeper sense of compassion and empathy
Right.
for all beings.
So it's like moving beyond
Yes.
that feeling of separateness
Yes.
and recognizing that we're all part of this vast web of life.
Exactly. And with this awareness
Mm-hmm.
comes a heightened sense of responsibility for
Mm.
our thoughts, words, and actions.
It's like our actions become more intentional,
Yeah.
more aligned with this understanding that
Okay.
we're all connected.
Precisely and often.
Yeah.
As we evolve, our values shift as well.
Oh, okay.
We may find ourselves
Yeah.
less attached to material possessions,
Right.
status, or power,
Right.
and more drawn to experiences that nourish our soul
Right.
and contribute to the well-being of others.
So our definition of success
Yes.
starts to change.
It does. It does.
It's not just about these
Right.
external achievements,
Yeah.
but about inner growth
Mm-hmm.
and making a positive difference.
We start to redefine what truly matters,
Right.
moving towards a more holistic and
Yeah.
soul-centered approach to life.
And I imagine this shift in values often leads to a greater sense of purpose and meaning.
Absolutely. We may feel
Yeah.
more connected to our passions,
Right.
more aligned with our life's work,
Mm-hmm.
and more driven to make a positive contribution to the world.
So it's like
Yeah.
we're discovering our unique gifts and talents
Yeah,
and using them
exactly.
to serve a purpose larger than ourselves.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that sense of purpose can be incredibly empowering.
Right.
It gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning,
Yeah.
face challenges with resilience,
Mm-hmm.
and live with greater intention.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not about achieving some like grand state of perfection,
No.
but rather about continually aligning our lives
Yes.
with what feels truly meaningful and purposeful.
And as we continue to evolve,
Yeah.
that sense of purpose becomes more refined,
Okay.
more aligned with our soul's mission,
Mhm.
and more impactful in the world.
You know, I think a lot of people
Yeah.
struggle with the idea of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is there so much pain in the world?
That's a question that has resonated throughout human history.
Right.
And
Yeah.
while there are no easy answers,
Right.
both Gnosticism and the Law of One
Yeah.
offer some perspectives.
Okay.
The Gnostics, they saw suffering as a consequence
Okay.
of our separation from the divine source.
So it's not that
Yeah.
suffering is good
No.
or necessary,
No.
but rather it's a result of
It's a result of
forgetting our true nature.
forgetting who we truly are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like we've wandered away from home.
Right.
And now we feel lost, alone, and vulnerable.
Right.
And the Gnostics believed that through gnosis, that direct experience of divine knowledge, we could remember who we truly are
Okay.
and transcend the suffering of the material world.
Okay, so the law of one, on the other hand,
Yeah,
it seems to suggest that suffering is a catalyst for growth.
that's right.
Okay.
The Law of One
Yeah.
doesn't see the creator as inflicting suffering,
Okay.
but rather suggests that we choose to incarnate
Right.
into a world where suffering is possible
Okay.
because it offers opportunities for learning and growth.
So it's like we're signing up for this challenging course
Yeah.
in spiritual development,
Yeah, exactly.
knowing that there will be tests along the way.
And the Law of One says
Okay.
how we respond to those tests
Yeah.
is crucial. If we resist suffering,
Mm-hmm.
cling to anger or resentment,
Yeah.
we create more suffering for ourselves and others.
Right.
But if we can approach it with compassion
Okay.
and a willingness to learn,
Yeah.
it can become a transformative experience.
So it's about using those
Yeah.
difficult experiences as fuel for growth.
Yes.
Kind of turning lead into gold, so to speak.
It's about approaching suffering
Yeah.
with an open heart and a willingness to learn from it.
You know, one thing I find so inspiring
Yeah.
about both Gnosticism and the Law of One is that they offer such a hopeful
I do.
and empowering perspective,
Mm-hmm.
especially during challenging times.
It's true. They remind us
Yeah.
that we're not powerless victims,
Right.
but rather conscious co-creators of our reality, our thoughts, words, and actions.
Yeah.
They have a ripple effect,
Right.
and we have the power to choose a more positive path.
It's like each of us
Yeah.
holds a piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come together with a shared purpose,
Yeah.
we can create a more beautiful and harmonious picture.
That's a wonderful way to put it.
Yeah.
Both Gnosticism and the Law of One point toward a world where love,
Right.
compassion, and understanding prevail.
Such a beautiful vision,
It is.
and one that we can all contribute to. By making conscious choices in our daily lives,
Absolutely.
as we continue to explore these philosophies,
Yeah.
I think we'll discover countless insights and practices
Yeah.
that can lead us toward a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about kind of abstract concepts and
Right.
profound ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm wondering about something
Yeah.
a bit more practical.
Okay.
In our busy modern lives,
Yeah.
how can we actually apply these teachings
Right.
to our everyday experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can feel a
Mm.
bit daunting
It can
to
dra-
bridge that gap between these,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
lofty
Yeah.
concepts and the reality of our
Mhm.
daily routines.
That's a great point. It's about
Yeah.
finding ways to kind of integrate these insights into
Mhm.
the fabric of our lives.
Yeah.
So, one practical application that resonates with both philosophies
Okay.
is the importance of cultivating awareness. The
Okay.
Gnostics talked about awakening from the sleep of ignorance,
Okay.
seeing the world with fresh eyes,
Right.
and recognizing the illusions that bind us to suffering.
So it's about paying attention, being present,
Yes.
and kind of questioning the assumptions we make about reality without even realizing it.
Absolutely. This cultivation of awareness
Yeah.
can extend to every aspect of our lives, our
Right.
thoughts, emotions, actions.
Yeah, it's about making conscious choices
Yes.
instead of just reacting out of habit or conditioning.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think for me, one of the biggest challenges is remembering
Right.
to actually be present.
Yeah, because life moves so fast.
It
It's
does.
easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of it all.
I hear you. It's a continual practice. It's
Man.
this gentle reminder to ourselves
Yeah.
to pause, breathe, and observe.
Mm-hmm.
And as we develop this awareness,
Yeah.
we start to see the interconnectedness of everything.
Right.
How our choices have this ripple effect
Hmm.
on the world around us.
That makes me think about another concept we've talked about,
Yeah.
which is compassion.
Yes.
Both Gnosticism and the law of one.
Right.
They emphasize the interconnectedness of all beings,
They do.
encouraging us to treat each other with kindness,
Mm.
understanding, forgiveness.
Compassion is such a powerful force.
It really is.
It allows us to move beyond judgment
Mm-hmm.
and separation
Yeah.
and connect with that shared humanity that binds us all.
It's easy to forget
It is.
that we're all on our own unique journeys,
Mm-hmm.
facing our own challenges.
Yeah.
And compassion helps us to see beyond the surface
Yes.
and recognize the struggles
Right.
that others might be going through.
And that compassion, it extends to ourselves as well,
Right.
recognizing that we're all imperfect beings.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Yeah.
We're growing.
We are.
And that helps us to cultivate a more
Uh-huh.
gentle and understanding inner dialogue.
That self-compassion.
Yeah.
It can be so challenging
It can.
because we often hold ourselves to such high standards.
Yeah, we do.
But when we can learn to be more forgiving of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes easier
It does.
to extend that same forgiveness to others.
It's like we're each holding a light.
Yeah.
And when we shine that light inward,
Mm-hmm.
it naturally radiates outward.
I love that.
Yeah.
Illuminating the world around us.
It's a beautiful image.
It is.
Yeah.
It reminds me of
Yeah.
the interconnectedness.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about
Right.
how our inner world affects the outer world and vice versa.
Exactly. And as we delve deeper
Yeah.
into these philosophies,
Hmm.
we discover even more insights and practices
Right.
that can help us create a more meaningful and fulfilling life
Yeah.
for ourselves and for those around us.
Absolutely. One thing that really strikes me
Yeah.
is that both Gnosticism and the law of one,
Mm-hmm.
they emphasize personal experience.
They do.
It's not about blindly accepting dogma or someone else's interpretation of truth.
It's about encouraging us
Yeah.
to become active seekers,
Right.
to explore, question, and trust our inner guidance.
It's like we're each given a map,
Yeah. Yeah.
but ultimately, we have to chart our own course,
yes.
trusting our intuition
Mm-hmm.
and making choices that feel right for us.
And that journey of self-discovery,
Right.
it's ongoing.
It is.
There's always more to learn,
Yeah.
explore, experience.
Thanks.
That's what keeps life interesting and meaningful.
It really is.
Wouldn't you say?
I think so. Speaking of the journey,
Yeah.
both Gnosticism and the law of one suggest
Mm-hmm.
that we're undergoing this process
Right.
of spiritual evolution,
Yeah.
both individually and collectively.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what does that evolution actually look like
Oh.
in practice?
One sign of spiritual evolution
Yeah.
is this increasing sense of interconnectedness.
Okay.
As we awaken to our true nature, we begin to see the world differently. We recognize the interconnectedness of all things,
Yeah.
and we feel this deeper sense of compassion and empathy for all beings.
So it's like moving beyond that feeling of separateness,
Exactly.
recognizing that we're all part of this vast web of life.
And with this awareness
Yeah.
comes a heightened sense of responsibility
Right.
for our thoughts, words, and actions.
Okay.
We realize that they impact not only ourselves, but the
Mhm.
world around us.
So it's like our actions become more intentional,
Yeah,
more aligned with this understanding that we're all connected.
precisely, and often.
Yeah.
As we evolve,
Right.
our values shift as well.
Okay.
We may find ourselves less attached
Mm-hmm.
to material possessions,
Yeah.
status, power,
Right.
and more drawn to experiences that nourish our soul
Right.
and contribute to the well-being of others.
So our definition of success kind of starts to change.
It does.
Yeah, it's not just about
Yeah.
external achievements,
Right.
but about inner growth and making a positive difference.
Right. Right. We start to redefine what truly matters,
Right.
moving towards a more holistic and soul-centered approach to life.
And I imagine this shift in values
Yeah,
often leads to a greater sense of purpose and meaning.
absolutely. We may feel more connected to our passions,
Right.
more aligned with our life's work,
Mm-hmm.
more driven to make a positive contribution to the world.
So it's like we're discovering
Yeah,
our own unique gifts and talents
Mm.
and using them
exactly.
to serve a purpose larger than ourselves.
Yes, and that sense of purpose can be incredibly empowering.
I bet.
Yeah.
It gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
face challenges with resilience,
Yeah.
and live with greater intention.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about achieving some grand state of perfection,
No.
but rather continually aligning our lives
Yes.
with what feels truly meaningful and purposeful.
Exactly. And as we continue to evolve,
Yeah.
that sense of purpose
Mm-hmm.
becomes more refined, more aligned with our soul's mission,
Right.
and more impactful in the world.
I think another aspect of spiritual evolution
Yeah.
is this increasing capacity for love.
Okay.
As we awaken to our true nature,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like we start to experience love
Right.
in this more expansive, unconditional way.
Okay.
It's not just limited to romantic love
Yeah.
or love for family and friends.
Right. It extends to all beings.
Right.
There's this recognition of
Yeah.
the inherent worth and dignity
Mm-hmm.
of every living creature.
It's like our hearts are expanding
Yeah.
and we can hold more love, more
Mhm.
compassion,
Yeah.
more understanding.
And with this expanded capacity for love
Yeah.
comes a greater ability to forgive,
Right.
accept, and be tolerant of others' differences.
And it's not about
Yeah.
condoning harmful behavior, but rather acknowledging
Yeah.
that we're all on our own journeys
Mm-hmm.
and offering compassion instead of judgment.
This practice of love and forgiveness is vital for our own healing and transformation as well.
Right.
As we release
Yeah.
resentment, anger, and judgment,
Yeah.
we create space for more love, joy, and peace.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
we're clearing out the emotional clutter
Exactly.
and making room for more positive experiences.
And as we continue to evolve,
yeah.
this love becomes more and more unconditional,
Okay.
embracing all beings,
Right.
regardless of their actions or beliefs.
It's a beautiful vision,
It is.
one that,
Yeah.
we can all strive for,
Mhm.
even if we haven't fully realized it yet.
It's important to remember
Yeah.
that spiritual evolution is
Yeah.
this continuous process.
Right.
It's no finish line.
Right.
It's about continual growth,
Yeah. Yeah.
learning transformation.
Right. And what's encouraging is that
Yeah,
we're all in this together,
we are.
supporting each other along the way
Mm-hmm.
and contributing to this
Absolutely.
collective evolution of consciousness.
Speaking of collective evolution.
Yes. One of the most fascinating aspects
Yeah.
of both Gnosticism and the Law of One
Okay.
is how they challenge traditional notions of time and space.
Okay. How so?
Well, the Gnostics, for example,
Yeah.
believed in this realm beyond the material world,
Okay.
a realm of pure spirit and light.
Right.
They called it the pleroma.
Right. The pleroma.
And the Law of One speaks of different densities of existence,
Okay.
suggesting that our current reality
Yeah.
is just one of many possible dimensions.
It's like realizing that there's more to reality
Exactly.
than what we can see and touch.
These concepts of higher realms
Right.
and different densities,
Yeah.
they invite us to expand our understanding
Right.
of what's possible.
Yeah.
Our current perception of time and space
Right.
may be far more limited
Yeah.
than we realize.
It's like we're living in this multi-dimensional universe,
Yeah.
but we're only tuned into a small fraction of it.
Both Gnosticism and the Law of One suggest that as we evolve spiritually,
our awareness expands
Okay.
and we become more attuned to these higher realms and dimensions.
So it's not about escaping this reality,
No,
but rather realizing that there's this much greater reality
exactly.
that we can tap into.
That's right.
And that realization can be incredibly liberating,
It can.
especially in times of difficulty,
Mm-hmm.
because it reminds us that there's a bigger picture.
Yes.
Our current challenges are temporary,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's this realm of peace, love, and light
Yeah.
that we can access through spiritual practice and inner exploration.
Yes. And these teachings can help us to understand the nature of death and the afterlife.
Okay.
The Gnostics believed that upon death,
Yeah.
our souls return to the pleroma.
Okay.
And the law of one suggests
Yeah.
that when we transition from this physical reality,
Mm-hmm.
we move into a different density of existence.
Right. So it's not an end,
Exactly.
but a transition,
Yes.
a continuation of our journey
Yeah.
in a different realm or dimension.
I find that incredibly comforting,
Me too. Me too.
especially given how much fear
Yeah.
surrounds death in our culture.
Right.
You know, it's reassuring to think of it as this
Yeah.
shift
Yeah.
into a different state of being,
Right.
a continuation of our growth and evolution.
And it challenges us to consider
Yeah.
if death is not the end,
Right.
how might that understanding
Yeah.
influence how we live our lives
Mm-hmm.
in the present moment?
That's a powerful question to ponder.
It is.
Yeah, it really shifts our perspective.
As we wrap up our deep dive
Yeah.
into Gnosticism and the law of one,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about,
Yeah.
the sheer volume of information out there
Right.
in the world.
It's a lot.
It's so easy to get caught up
It is.
in spiritual trends or
Yeah.
esoteric ideas
Yeah.
that might not actually be beneficial.
You've hit upon a crucial point.
Yeah.
Both Gnosticism and the law of one.
Yeah.
They stress the importance of discernment, carefully evaluating information in spiritual teachings.
Right.
They encourage us to trust our inner guidance
Okay.
above all else.
So it's like we need to become spiritual detectives,
Yeah.
sifting through the evidence,
Mm-hmm.
questioning assumptions,
Yeah.
and relying on our intuition to guide us toward the truth.
Precisely in today's world,
Yeah.
with information constantly bombarding us.
Right.
Cultivating discernment is more crucial than ever.
Right.
We need to hone our critical thinking skills
Mm-hmm.
and learn to trust that inner compass.
Both Gnosticism and the law of one caution against
Yeah.
blindly following dogma
Right.
or accepting someone else's interpretation of truth.
They urge us to seek our own understanding,
Right.
cultivate our own gnosis,
Mm-hmm.
and find what resonates with us on a deep personal level.
In this process of discernment,
Yeah.
it's not about becoming cynical
No.
or closed-minded.
It's about approaching spiritual teachings
Right.
with a healthy dose of skepticism, questioning assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
testing ideas against our own experiences and intuition.
It's about becoming an active participant in our spiritual growth,
Exactly.
not just passively absorbing information.
That active engagement is key
Yeah.
to authentic spiritual development.
Right.
We truly learn and grow
Yeah.
through questioning, exploring, experiencing.
Now, I know that for a lot of people,
Yeah.
the process of discernment
Mm-hmm.
can feel challenging,
It can.
even overwhelming.
It can.
Do Gnosticism and the law of one offer any guidance
They do.
on how to navigate this process?
The law of one, for instance,
Yeah.
places a strong emphasis
Oh.
on listening to our intuition.
Right.
That still small voice within that guides us toward truth.
So tuning into our inner compass,
Yes.
paying attention to those subtle nudges,
Mm-hmm.
those whispers of guidance
Right.
that we often ignore.
Exactly. And the Gnostics
Yeah.
emphasized aligning our actions with our highest values.
Okay.
They believed that when we live in accordance with truth and love,
Right.
our path naturally becomes clearer.
So it's not just about intellectual analysis.
Mm.
It's also about embodying our values,
Yes.
trusting that the universe will support us on our journey.
As we cultivate discernment,
Yeah.
we might find that certain spiritual teachings or practices
Yeah.
no longer resonate with us,
Okay.
while others become more profound and impactful.
So it's like we're refining our spiritual palate,
Exactly.
developing a taste for what truly nourishes our soul
Mm.
and supports our growth.
Yeah,
And this process of discernment, it's ongoing, isn't it?
absolutely. It's a continuous journey.
As we evolve and grow,
Mm-hmm.
our understanding of truth may shift.
Right.
And what resonated with us before might hold a different meaning.
Right. So it's not about
Yeah.
finding the one right answer
Right.
or adhering to this rigid set of rules.
Right. It's about staying open,
Yes.
trusting our intuition, allowing ourselves to be guided by the wisdom that unfolds along the way.
As we embrace this approach,
Yeah.
we become more empowered in our spiritual journeys,
Okay.
making choices that align with our highest purpose
Right.
and contributing to the collective awakening of consciousness.
It's been such a fascinating exploration.
It has.
It feels like we've only scratched the surface
Yeah.
of these like complex and multifaceted philosophies.
Right. Yeah.
But I think we've touched on some key insights, exploring those shared themes of divine knowledge,
Right.
unity,
Yeah.
and spiritual evolution, and how these ancient teachings
Yeah.
can still resonate with us today.
It's truly remarkable. You know how these seemingly disparate philosophies,
Yeah.
separated by centuries,
Right.
converge on such profound and timeless ideas.
Right.
You know, it speaks to the existence
Yeah.
of universal truths
Yeah.
that transcend cultural boundaries and historical periods.
It's as if we're tapping into
Yeah.
a collective wellspring of wisdom, drawing inspiration from those who came before us,
Yes.
and recognizing that we're all part of this
Absolutely.
ongoing conversation
Yeah.
about the nature of reality,
Yeah.
the meaning of life,
Mhm.
our place in the cosmos.
And by engaging in this conversation
Right.
with open minds,
Yeah.
curious hearts, we deepen our understanding.
Yeah.
We expand our awareness.
Right.
And contribute to that collective awakening of consciousness.
For those listening,
Yeah.
I encourage you to dive deeper
Yeah.
into these fascinating topics.
Absolutely right.
Explore those Gnostic texts.
Yeah.
Read the Law of One material and see what sparks your curiosity,
Yeah.
what resonates with your own inner knowing.
Remember, this deep dive
Yeah.
is just the beginning.
It is.
The real journey of discovery lies within you.
It does.
Embrace that curiosity.
Yeah.
Trust your intuition and keep seeking knowledge and understanding
Right.
wherever it may lead.
It's been an absolute pleasure
Likewise.
sharing this exploration with you. Until next time,
Yeah.
keep seeking,
Yeah.
keep questioning, and keep diving deep
Absolutely.
into the mysteries of the universe.
Yeah.
And never forget,
Yeah.
the answers you seek are already within you,
Yeah.
waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely.
Yeah.